We are proud to be British. We are proud to export Britishness around the world and stand for what we believe in. And inviting people, students, to come here for 3 years, learn about our culture, experience what we can do, then go back home, that's not a bad idea. That's a brilliant idea.
How many of them? The reason they won't put a cap on it is because they're frightened to, because their figures and what they've got in their head are astonishingly high.
You've got to stop scaremongering. Honestly,
I'm not scaremongering.
You're giving nothing in terms of facts and figures.
I'm starting to think that Keir Starmer has a personal grudge against the British people, honestly, because he is trying to put forth policies that he knows is going to cause uproar, but he's doing it anyway. 2016, a majority of Brits voted to leave the European Union, and now 2025, he wants to allow Europeans to work in the United Kingdom at free flow. Isn't this exactly what they voted against? We're at a point now where reform are gaining so much traction, especially from Conservative Tories and Labour voters. You know, there's a portion that are going to reform because of the border crisis, because of legal and illegal immigration, add-on asylum hotels, asylum seekers, etc. And the general public clearly isn't happy. And now Keir Starmer, on top of knowing all of this, isn't... Guys, I'm sorry, man. Nothing's funny, honestly. But it's just when politicians take the mick to this level, I honestly think he just doesn't care anymore. I think he knows he's out in the next election and he's just trying to get under everyone's skin. He couldn't care less, honestly. But anyway, guys, we're going to watch a debate between Mike Parry and Nelufa. So they're just going to be talking about the whole situation. If there's any points, I'll come with it during the segment.
Mike, why shouldn't we have them with the EU?
Because Starmer has sold us down the river on so many issues, and this is one of the biggest ones. Fisheries is the first, this is the second. What he's allowed the Europeans to do is to export youth unemployment to the United Kingdom, OK? Youth unemployment in Portugal, in France, in Spain is much, much higher than it is in this country. But last week, when he said island of strangers, trying to pretend, because he doesn't believe in it, pretend that we've got to stop immigration into this country, we've got to stop migration because there's too many people already. Now he's opening the floodgates to, and you said it, no cap on it. How many...
No, I said we don't know yet.
There is no cap on it.
We don't know yet.
Well, if we don't know, it means because there is not a cap.
It has not been agreed. Government ministers this morning have said that is yet to be agreed, so we don't know.
Well, I'm sorry, you're splitting hairs. What I'm saying is at the moment, we don't have a cap on it. I believe it will be excessive. 10,000, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And by the way, calling this student and youth, I'm sorry, when you get to the age of 30, you're neither a student nor a youth, but you're allowed to come from a country in Europe with very, very high youth, whatever age that is, unemployment, to this country where we haven't got as much youth unemployment. They're exporting it here. And by the way, another unknown is, can they bring their families with them? That's something that's already being debated, right? And I bet you that will happen as well. It's a disgrace.
Just to be clear. Yesterday, when Keir Starmer was asked about it in the press conference, he said it will be capped and there will be a time limit. This morning, government minister on the radio said that people will not be allowed to bring dependents.
I'm not going to keep pausing the video. This guy needs to stop parroting nonsense. The presenter I'm talking about, not Mike Parry. There's going to be no cap. There's no cap for people coming in on boats to British shores. If there's no cap for that, how is there going to be a cap now for Europeans coming into the United Kingdom? If they come here and they get comfortable here, build a business or start working, whatever, get a place that they're staying at, of course they're going to bring their family with them. You know, you can't even cap illegal immigration. How are you going to cap legal immigration? Like, let's not be silly. There's going to be no cap. Even if he tries to sell it as, oh, there's going to be a cap, there's not going to be a cap, because I can guarantee you when Europeans come into the United Kingdom, it's going to be so easy for them to bring a +1/+2, or, oh, damn, my wife now needs to come and live with me. I can't be away from my wife. I have a job here. And that's how it's going to go. And like Mike Parry said again, 18 to 35 years of age, come on, man. Like, we know what's going on here, honestly. You're just selling the country out again. And again, it comes after he said last week that, you know, we need to be tough on immigration. This man is insane.
Again,
and we believe that, do we?
Details are to be confirmed, but we will see. Nelifer, what are your thoughts?
Okay. Just bring the temperature down a little bit on
We
this
want a bit of temperature.
conversation.
Go on, what are your thoughts?
Well, if we're going to say things like, I don't believe it, I don't know, there's no cap, there may be a cap, then we're just talking fanciful language. Let's look on paper with facts as our guide.
He's told a lot of lies so far.
Hang on, let him finish that point.
Yeah.
Go on.
Let's
Do you think
look
it's
at
a good idea?
First of all, this is not freedom of movement. This is a mobility scheme, which means that it is tied intrinsically and completely to a time limit and to the status of the person coming to this country. This isn't you can come here willy-nilly whenever you want, bring anyone you want. This has come here for a purpose. Second point, you mentioned this idea of a 30-year-old can't be a student. PhDs, doctorates are an important export of the UK.
Yeah.
We have some of the best schemes for people to come and broaden the world's horizons when it comes to that.
We do.
And very finally, the YES scheme, the Youth Experience Scheme, as it's being called, is vital. Why should a South Korean student have more ability to come and study here in the UK than a Portuguese student?
I just want to make a distinction. This isn't going to be replacing visa student schemes. No. This is youth mobility. So people can come here to just work. They don't necessarily have to study. Yeah. So you're for it. You think that we should we have a cap and should there be a limit?
There should only be a sensible cap determined by the people who are providing the education or the volunteering scheme or something like that. Okay. I don't think arbitrary numbers set by the government are going to be useful in this situation.
All right, let's hear what people are saying at home. There's quite a few people getting in touch. Poppy is in London. Poppy, welcome to the show. Do you agree? Do you think we should let young people from the EU come, live and work here?
Well, I went over there and did the same thing. I went to France and I went to Austria. And I worked in both. And it was the most valuable thing I did. I was 18, 19 when I went. I mean, I'm in my 60s now, but I was 18 or 19 when I went out there to Austria and then went on from there to Paris. And it was so valuable. I learned so much about myself. I learned how to live on my own, sort of, without my parents. At least I didn't have my parents as backup all the time. I had to learn to be me. And it was just so valuable. And as a result of going and working over there, I ended up deciding, yes, I would go to university. So whilst I was in Paris, I started applying to universities over here and came back a year later and went to uni, which I wasn't going to do.
OK, Poppy, thank you. I mean, we can all agree that it is a good experience. Let's hear from Gary, who's in Glasgow. Gary, welcome to the show. Do you think we should let younger people from the EU come and live and work here?
Definitely not. I do believe that it will be open to abuse, the same as the whole asylum seeker thing coming here. Okay. It's meant to be between the ages of 18 to 35, so is that not open discrimination to people younger than 18 and over 35? And thirdly, that once they're here and they've developed a life in this country, it will be the same as the ones that came here. You won't be able to get them back, they'll just disappear.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
He understands what's coming from this. He understands that this is just going to be used and abused, this scheme. And it's like we can all see except the presenter. He's trying to articulate it in a way where we don't know what can... Yes, we do. People are going to be coming in and they're going to be overstaying and nothing's going to happen. It is what it is.
OK, let me ask you and Gary, I mean, this is meant to be a visa system. Yes. So we know who the people are. Yes. They've applied for a visa. They've been accepted. Yes. We know where they are, what they're doing, what they're working. Yeah. It will be time limited. When their visa is up, they will need to go back.
What is the time limit?
4 years is being proposed at the moment.
It's being proposed. There is no time limit.
It's because they haven't made the deal, Mike.
And Poppy, our first guest, was talking about her going over to the continent. Don't you realise 10 times more people come from the continent to the UK than go the other way because they want to come here and learn how to speak English and take advantage of the best education system in the world.
Currently, EU migration into the UK up to June 2024 has been staggeringly lower than any other type of migration. So we have fewer people coming from the EU to the UK
but this is a
than many
beneficial
other
scheme.
Hold on one moment. So they're saying about 4 years is what it will take. Another really important point. It's assumed that this is a zero-sum game. You come here, you take our stuff, you leave our stuff. there is a whole export of soft play, political soft power that is being demonstrated here. You heard von der Leyen talking about how important this was, that she's the best
unelected leader of Europe who nobody's ever voted for. And the other thing is, did you know that the fees they're going to charge European students are lower than they're going to charge Commonwealth students?
Let's
so
not
the
conflate.
Commonwealth, of which we're a part, they can come in.
You're conflating too many things. Let me just ask Gary one question. Gary, do you not think there's value, because of course this is going to be reciprocal, that there's going to be people from the UK who are going to be able to work, live and study in the EU? Is that not of value?
I think that you have to have some sort of freedom of movement. People need to move around the world. I've certainly been around the world. I was in the Royal Navy submarine service for many, many years. I've worked in Africa. I've worked in a lot of different places on oil rigs. You need to get the transfer of people around the world for their knowledge, but it's been open to abuse. It's already been shown by, as that lady said there, the numbers are met with down. Well, so maybe need to come to where I live in Glasgow, where we are overrun. There's got to be a stop. They've just made another access way into the country, another legal route, which is wrong.
OK. All right. Gary, thank you. I'm only keeping it short because there's so many people who want to have their say. Jeffrey's in Aberdeenshire. Jeffrey, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, thanks for having me on. I think that people should be allowed to travel backwards and forwards, because they've got to learn the experience.
Yeah.
And but what worries me about this business is, like the earlier guy said, we've been sold around down the river with the issues that we voted on to get out of the EU, and now somebody's taking us back into the EU without.
No one's taking you back into the EU. Hang on. No one's talked about rejoining the EU, the customs union.
Come off it. We're adopting EU policies.
This
is called salami slicing.
Well,
hang on. I'm trying to keep us to the facts of what's happening. We are talking about a small number of people. We already have about 34,000 young people coming to the UK under youth mobility schemes that we have with Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Japan. And so we have these with other countries. Should we not have them with our closest neighbour? A capped limit amount of people?
Yes, we should. We should, because we've got to get round and try. And I'm surprised, a Scotsman saying that we've been actually sold down the river with Starmer about the EU, and you're saying we're not going back into EU. We are, and we voted to leave.
We are.
Jeffrey, thank you. Nelifer, is there a contradiction in terms? Mike put his finger on it as well. Last Monday, we had Keir Starmer saying we need to bring legal migration numbers down. And then by the following week, he's saying, well, we're going to let in a number of people. We don't know what the cap is. We don't know what the cap is, but we're going to let people in on visas. That's counterintuitive. If you want to bring a number down and then say we're going to let people in, that's working against each other, isn't it?
It is not as simple as pulling one lever and pushing another. This is a delicate balance, an ecosystem we're trying to create in this country. We are proud to be British. We are proud to export Britishness around the world and stand for what we believe in. And inviting people, students, to come here for 3 years, learn about our culture, experience what we can do, then go back home, that's not a bad idea. That's a brilliant idea.
How many of them? The reason they won't put a cap on it is because they're frightened to, because their figures and what they've got in their head are astonishingly
Mike,
high.
You've got to stop scaremongering. Honestly,
I'm not scaremongering.
You're giving nothing in terms of facts and figures.
We don't. I'll repeat.
They
we don't know
facts and figures. I can't give you.
We don't know what the cap is so far. We don't know what the cap is, but we've been assured that there will be a cap. Simon is in Leeds. Welcome to the show, Simon. Do you think this is a good idea?
No, I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Why?
They're trying to get numbers down on one hand and cut terrorism, but then they're making it so easy for supposed terrorists to get into the country.
OK, are we forgetting, Simon, are we forgetting that this is reciprocal? We're not just letting people come in one way. There's going to be people, young people, going the other way. So won't those numbers cancel each other out?
No, because you look at immigration, there's more people in the country than are leaving.
Totally agree.
It's just going to get worse.
I'm sorry, there's more people in the country than are leaving. Can you explain that? Sorry.
there's more people coming into the country that are allowed. They're not
Right,
getting
so
deported,
net migration-
So the numbers are just going to go up.
Net migration's higher. But why, if the government puts a cap, let's say they put a cap on the same, roughly what we have, 30,000 young people could come in on a limited amount of period, with 30,000 young people from the UK being able to go the other way. What's the harm in that?
Because people might not go home.
I mean,
But they're on a visa. That can apply to everybody who's here on a visa, right? So should we not be giving visas to anybody?
No, they need to cut the visas down.
Right, so you wouldn't, if it was up to you, you wouldn't let anybody come in.
but that, I mean, that's
This presenter is so woke, honestly, man. The British people have said immigration is a huge problem. This is why reform is gaining ground. They're not interested in anything. Stop trying to sell them this 30,000 leaving, 30,000 coming in. They're not interested. They're just trying to get the numbers low for now, see what's going on, and then in a couple years' time, when it's time to talk about something else, or maybe bring in some kind of scheme, then maybe they can, listen to that. But for now, they're like, whoa, what's going on? Everything's looking crazy. So people don't care about how he's just trying to sell it one way, and if you don't agree, then somehow, you don't like people that aren't from the UK. Bro, people are fed, they've just said it. You have to go with what the majority want, and the majority have said we're done with immigration, at least for now. Let's see what's going on, and then later on we can then, decide on what we want to do. But for now, it needs to calm down numbers, and he's still selling some nonsense.
That's just not a country. That's a prison. You haven't described a country there, Simon. That's just a big jail. If no one can leave and no one can come in.
It's not our country anymore.
No, it's called border controls.
If you don't let anyone leave and you don't let anyone in, that is just a massive prison.
All right, Simon, thank you. Let's take John, who's in Nottinghamshire. John, welcome to the show. What are your views?
Oh, hello, everybody. I think it's a good idea in principle to allow people to be experiencing other cultures, whatever. But I do think there's an opportunity here for the smuggling gangs and all to get in on it. So my solution would be that if they sign up and agree to come for a period of time, they sign a document saying that if they overstay, they will be deported. But on top of that, if they want to extend their stay here, return to their own country, apply for a visa or whatever, this would take all the smuggling gangs and the
John, I'm sorry, John, we're losing a little bit of what you're saying, but
one important factor we haven't taken into consideration is it's as though this is happening for the first time, Alexis. It's as though we haven't been doing this with Australia, with Iceland, with South Korea. Is there an invasion of South Koreans in the UK that I've missed? Of course there isn't, because this is a proper scheme that's implemented well. And the Erasmus Plus scheme, which I know many of the people in this studio, in this building, benefit from, that was cut under Brexit in 2016. Having something that we exchange cultures is vital for any thriving country. I can't understand why an Australian young person should have it and a French or a German or a Polish one shouldn't.
Because there's too many migrants in the country.
But you're not saying anything about the Australians that are benefiting from this. You're not asking for this to be abolished, are you?
Because they're very small numbers compared to what's going to happen from Europe. It's not.
My dear.
It's not.
My dear.
It's as little as 500 people from Australia, but you're talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands.
There's roughly about 30,000 people who have come in from youth mobility schemes that we already have.
Yes, from many countries around the world and over a number of years, OK? But not all in 1 year. This is going to accelerate very rapidly because they want to get it done.
You have no basis for saying that.
I do, because they're going to start it very quickly because they've only got 4 years to make sure it's embedded
I can't argue
into
with that.
this country.
You know, I just can't.
Well, guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the debates. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.